So welcome back, guys. This is going to be another one of my aviation history series. This is actually going to be episode 2 in my RCAF history series, and actually it's part 2 of my RCAF overview history. In part 1 we did pre-war squadrons up through World War II ending in 1945, the squadron opening, squadron disbandments, some notable events. If you haven't seen it yet, there should be a link up top. Go take a look at that if you haven't seen that first. This video, I did end up cutting it. I had planned to do it in one video. It was pretty long. It was almost an hour long for part 1, and that only got me till 1945. So I decided to cut them into 2. So here's part 2 from 1946 to the present day. And just a quick caveat, present day for me is early 2021. So if you're watching this in the future, anything that happened after the beginning of 2021 will not be included in this video. Maybe do a follow-up a little later, years in the future. If I'm still doing this, we'll see what happens. So on that note, let's get this video started. And as always, my name is Sean, and this is Sean's Aviation. And just before we get into the video, something I should have been doing a lot more up till now, and that is just asking you guys out there, if you enjoy what you're looking at, if you like what I'm doing, go down below, click on the like page, subscribe to my channel, and by all means, please click on that little notification bell. If that way you guys get alerted when I do get more new content up. I usually try to do the What's on My Desk monthly update beginning of the month. And I usually try to get a video or a series of videos released by the 15th, the middle of the month. So whether that's going to be a tips and tricks video, or an aviation history video, or my time-lapse videos of the previous model builds that I've got done, or an air show video, or some of my new product review videos I'll be doing. So I want to try to get something posted by the middle of the month. So please, if you're enjoying this, subscribe, like, and click that notification bell. Let's move on to the video. So beginning in 1946, on January 1st, 426 Squadron is disbanded at Tempsford, England, having converted to the transport role, flying Liberators. On March 15th, the 443 Squadron was disbanded at Uetersen, Germany, being equipped with Spitfire Mark 14s. March 21st, 411, 412, and 416 Squadrons were disbanded at Uetersen in Germany, all flying the Spitfire Mark 14. April 1st, 435 Squadron was disbanded at Down Antony, England, while equipped with Dakotas. Now on April 15th, we see a number of units reform in Canada. These included 400 Squadron at Downsview, flying Harvards in the auxiliary fighter bomber role, 401 Squadron in St. Hubert as an auxiliary fighter unit, 402 Squadron in Winnipeg with Harvards in the fighter bomber role, 418 Squadron at Edmonton flying B-25s in the light bomber role, 424 at Mount Hope with Harvards and eventually Mustang Mark IVs in the auxiliary fighter role. 438 Squadron was also reformed on this day in St. Hubert, flying Harvards as an auxiliary unit. After a number of aircraft changes, 438 Squadron still operates out of St. Hubert as a tactical helicopter squadron with CH-146 Griffins in what must be one of the longest uninterrupted RCAF squadrons in existence. 442 Squadron was also reactivated in Vancouver with Harvards and eventually Vampires in the fighter role. April 21st, number 168 Squadron disbands at Rockcliffe while equipped with B-17s and B-24s. On June 1st, 427 and 429 Squadrons are disbanded at Leaming, England while equipped with Lancasters. June 15th, 437 Squadron was disbanded at Odiham in England while equipped with Dakotas. On June 22nd, 436 Squadron disbands at Odiham, England, also equipped with Dakotas. So on August 1st, we see 426 Squadron reformed at RCAF Station Dartmouth, this unit having only disbanded earlier in 1946, and they were flying Dakotas in the transport role, and they took over the role of the eastern half of 164 Transport Squadron. We also have 435 Squadron reforming in Edmonton with Dakotas, taking over the western half of 164 Squadron. 435 Squadron still operates today from CFB Winnipeg, flying the CC-130 Hercules. On September 30th, Number 124 Squadron was officially disbanded at Rockcliffe. So moving on to 1947, bit of a slow year, but we'll see a few things. The busiest day was April 1st, where we have 406 Squadron reactivated at RCAF Station Saskatoon, flying B-25 Mitchells, and 412 Squadron is reactivated at Rockcliffe as a VIP unit after absorbing number 12 Communication Squadron. Now, 412 Squadron still flies today with a fleet of 4 Canadair Challenger business jets and are based at the Ottawa International Airport. Number 13 Squadron is renumbered as 413 Squadron at Rockcliffe while still flying a mixed fleet. And 145 Squadron, also based at Rockcliffe, was renamed 414 Squadron, flying Dakotas. Both 413 and 414 Squadrons were photographic units. Now, in a move that officially bucked the trend, 103 Search and Rescue Flight was stood up at RCAF Station Dartmouth. And I say it bucks the trend because it is a unit that did not follow on with the 400 series numbers, and 103 Squadron still flies today in the search and rescue role, again bucking the trend of using a 400 series squadron number. Finally, in 1947, on June 1st, 417 Squadron was reactivated at RCAF Rivers, Manitoba, and was equipped with the Mustang Mark IV. We'll quickly go through the rest of the 1940s here. In 1948, August 1st, 417 Squadron was deactivated. On September 15th, 420 Squadron was reactivated at London, Ontario, flying Mustang Mark IVs. On October 15th, 403 Squadron was reformed as an auxiliary squadron in Calgary, flying Harvards, and is still in service today, flying CH-146 Griffins out of Gagetown, New Brunswick. On December 1st, 410 Squadron was reactivated at St. Hubert, flying Vampires, and this was actually the first unit in the RCAF to be equipped with the Vampire. 1949, January 10th, 408 Squadron reactivated at RCAF Station Rockcliffe in a photographic role tasked with mapping Canada's vast landmass. April 1st, 436 Squadrons reactivated at RCAF Station Dorval, flying the C-119 Boxcar in the transport role. After a number of moves and aircraft changes, 436 is still operational today, flying the CC-130J Hercules out of CFB Trenton. This now takes us into the 1950s, and as we'll see, there'll be quite a bit of expansion and reorganization of the RCAF to meet the needs of the growing Cold War. So starting in 1950, March 31st, 405 Squadron is reactivated as a maritime reconnaissance unit at RCAF Station Greenwood with Lancaster Mark 10s, and it still flies today with CP-140s and is still based at Greenwood. September 15th, 421 Squadron is reactivated at RCAF's Chatham, New Brunswick, flying Vampire fighters. On October 1st, 411 Squadron was reformed at RCAF Station Downsview, flying Vampires in the fighter role. And on November 1st, 413 Squadron and 414 Squadrons were both stood down at RCAF Station Rockcliffe. 1951, on January 8th, 416 Squadron was reactivated at Uplands in Ottawa, flying the Mustang Mark IV. On March 1st, 441 Squadron is reactivated at RCAF Station St. Hubert as a fighter unit, flying Vampires. On April 30th, 404 Squadron is reactivated at RCAF Station Greenwood as a maritime patrol squadron and still flies today out of Greenwood with the CP-140s. May 1st, 410 Squadron becomes the first RCAF unit to equip with Sabres. August 1st, 413 Squadron reactivated at RCAF Station Bagotville, flying Sabres. On September 1st, 439 Squadron was reformed at RCAF Station Uplands, flying Sabres. On September 15th, 443 Squadron was reactivated as an auxiliary squadron in Vancouver, flying the Vampire. On November 1st, 430 Squadron was reformed at RCAF Station North Bay, flying the Sabre. Now, November 15th is an important day, as it is the 410 Squadron becomes the first RCAF unit to deploy to Europe as part of the RCAF's commitment to the NATO defenses. And this aircraft the aircraft were sent overseas on the deck of an aircraft carrier. Now, this began a almost 40-year commitment by the RCAF to have fighter aircraft based in Europe. And as you'll see in the coming years, there was quite a bit of activity with the RCAF in and around Europe. So this takes us to 1952. May 30th, 439 Squadron participates in Operation Leapfrog 1, the first transatlantic crossing of an RCAF jet fighter, beginning the process of moving literally hundreds of aircraft overseas. I do have a great video on Operation Leapfrog as well as the others, and you should check it out. You can see it at the top of the screen here. July 1st, 407 Squadron gets reactivated at RCAF Station Comox as a maritime reconnaissance squadron flying Lancaster Mark 10s, and is still active today flying the CP-140s and is still based at Comox. 434 Squadron was also reactivated on this day at RCAF Uplands flying the Sabres. August 1st, 427 Squadron reformed as a fighter squadron flying Sabres based at St. Hubert. And on November 1st, 414 Squadron gets reactivated as a fighter unit at Bagotville, also flying the Sabres. Now we're on to 1953. January 1st, 422 Squadron formed at RCAF Station Uplands as a fighter unit flying Sabres. March 1st, 444 Squadron was formed at St. Hubert as a fighter unit, also flying Sabres. And this squadron has the distinction of being the first RCAF squadron formed post-war that had no World War II lineage. April 1st, 445 Squadron was formed at RCAF Station North Bay as an all-weather fighter squadron flying the CF-100. July 1st, 423 Squadron reformed at RCAF Station St. Hubert as an all-weather fighter unit flying the CF-100s. And finally, on October 1st, 440 Squadron was formed at RCAF Bagotville as an all-weather fighter unit flying the CF-100. In 1954, January 18th, 431 Squadron was reactivated as a temporary fighter unit at Bagotville flying the Sabre in a demonstration role around the country. June 1st, 428 Squadron was reformed at RCAF Uplands as an all-weather fighter unit flying the CF-100. On October 1st, 425 Squadron was reactivated as an all-weather fighter unit with CF-100s based at St. Hubert. And 431 Squadron was disbanded at Bagotville. 432 Squadron was reactivated as an all-weather fighter unit at Bagotville flying the CF-100. November 1st, 409 Squadron was reactivated at RCAF Station Comox as a fighter squadron flying CF-100s. And on November 15th, 433 Squadron was reformed at RCAF Cold Lake as an all-weather fighter unit flying the CF-100s. In 1955, March 15th, 419 Squadron reactivated at RCAF Station North Bay as an all-weather fighter squadron flying the CF-100s. Now in 1956, September 1st, 420 Squadron was disbanded at London while equipped with the Mustang Mark IV. Now in 1957, on January 31st, 416 Squadron gets deactivated at Gros-de-Quin, France, flying the Sabre. Now 416 Squadron was immediately stood back up one day later, February 1st, at St. Hubert, flying the CF-100 in the all-weather fighter role. So on April 7th, 413 Squadron was stood down at Zweibrücken, Germany, flying the Sabres. And on May 1st, 413 Squadron was reactivated at Bagotville as an all-weather fighter unit flying CF-100s. So you can start to see how the older Sabre units are disbanded, and then almost immediately after they're reactivated in Canada flying the CF-100s as the Air Force starts to get new equipment and move on with its abilities. So July 14th, 414 Squadron is disbanded at Baden-Solingen flying the Sabre. And on August 5th, 414 Squadron gets reactivated at North Bay flying the CF-100 in the all-weather fighter role. Now this wraps up the big activity for units in the 1950s. So we move on and we'll see what happens in the 1960s. So beginning in 1961, on May 1st, 425 Squadron was deactivated while equipped with the CF-100s. On June 1st, 415 Squadron was reactivated at RCAF Squadron Summerside as a maritime patrol unit flying the CP-107 Argus, and 428 Squadron was disbanded at RCAF Station Uplands while still equipped with the CF-100. August 1st, 433 Squadron was disbanded at RCAF North Bay while flying CF-100s. September 1st, 416 Squadron was disbanded while flying the CF-100s. October 1st, 437 Squadron was reactivated at RCAF Station Trenton as a transport unit flying the CC-106 Yukon. Now it is still active today at Trenton flying the CC-150 Polaris in the cargo, aerial refueling, and VIP transport role. On October 15th, 425 Squadron was reactivated at Namao, Alberta as an operational training unit for the CF-101 Voodoo. It later moved to Bagotville, Quebec, and still operates there today as a fighter squadron flying the CF-188 Hornet. 432 Squadron was disbanded at Bagotville on this date as well, while equipped with the CF-100. On December 28th, with the arrival of the Beaumark, 446 Squadron was formed at RCAF North Bay and was equipped with these surface-to-air missiles. December 30th, 413 Squadron was deactivated while flying the CF-100. 1962, January 1st, 416 Squadron was reactivated at Bagotville flying the CF-100 Voodoo. September 1st, 426 Squadron was disbanded at RCAF Station St. Hubert while flying the North Star. On September 15th, 447 Squadron was formed at La Macaza, Quebec, equipped with the Beaumark missile. On December 15th, the 427 Squadron was disbanded at Zweibrücken, Germany, while flying the Sabres. On December 17th, 427 Squadron was reactivated as an attack strike squadron at Zweibrücken, but equipped with the CF-104. On December 31st, 419 Squadron and 423 Squadron were both disbanded at Großdeutsch, France, while 440 Squadron was disbanded at Zweibrücken, and 445 Squadron was disbanded at Marville, France, after the CF-100 was retired from frontline duties. Moving on to 1963, January 15th, 434 Squadron was deactivated at Zweibrücken, Germany while flying the Sabres. March 1st, 444 Squadron was deactivated at Bad Solingen while operating the Sabres. Now on April 8th, 434 Squadron was reactivated as a strike attack squadron at Zweibrücken flying the CF-104. On April 15th, 422 Squadron was deactivated at Bad Solingen, Germany flying Sabres. Now on May 27th, 444 Squadron was reactivated as a CF-104 unit at Bad Solingen as in the attack strike role with the CF-104. And you'll start to see a pattern here as squadrons get disbanded and then a few weeks later get reactivated at the same location as a CF-104 unit. So June 1st, 430 Squadron was deactivated at Großdeutsch, France while equipped with the Sabres. On July 15th, 442 Squadron got reactivated at Bad Solingen as a strike attack squadron with the CF-104. On August 1st, 421 Squadron was deactivated at Großdeutsch, France while flying the Sabre. On September 1st, 441 Squadron was deactivated at Marville while equipped with the Sabres. Now on September 15th, 441 Squadron is almost immediately reactivated at Marville in the strike attack role with the CF-104. On September 30th, 430 Squadron was reactivated at Großdeutsch, France flying the CF-104. On November 30th, 439 Squadron was deactivated at Marville, France while equipped with Sabres. And on December 21st, 421 Squadron gets reactivated as a strike attack squadron with the CF-104 at Großdeutsch, France, but this squadron is quickly moved to Bad Solingen. We now move on to 1964. March 1st, 439 Squadron gets reactivated at Marville, France in the strike attack role with the CF-104. Now on April 1st, we have 406 and 410 Squadrons disbanded. We also have 424, 442, and 443 Squadrons were all disbanded while equipped with Otters and Expeditors. On June 30th, 414 Squadron gets disbanded once again. So as we start to see, after the rush of the 1950s with the quick expansion in the Cold War, we start to see a little bit of the contraction of the Air Force moving into the 1960s. 1967, March 1st, 434 Squadron was deactivated at Zweibrücken, Germany while flying the CF-104. On April 1st, 444 Squadron was deactivated at Bad Solingen while operating the CF-104. On June 22nd, 448 Squadron was formed at Cold Lake as a testing unit, taking over from the Air Armament Evaluation Detachment that was located at Cold Lake. It was renamed AETE in 1971 and is still in operations today. On August 21st, 429 Squadron was reformed as a tactical transport unit at St. Hubert flying the Buffalo, and after a few base changes and aircraft changes, 429 is still operating out of CFB Trenton as a heavy transport squadron flying the CC-177 Globemaster. On September 15th, 414 Squadron was reformed at RCAF Station St. Hubert as an electronic warfare unit flying the CF-100. This now brings us to 1968, and on February 1st of 1968, the three armed services of the Canadian military, the Royal Canadian Navy, the Royal Canadian Air Force, and the Canadian Army, were amalgamated into the Canadian Forces. And depending on who you talk to, this was either the greatest decision that ever happened or the worst decision that ever happened. And there was, though the big push behind this was cost savings. Now, as we have seen, we started to see a drawdown in the size of the RCAF, particularly with the units based in Europe. And they decided that they really needed to cut back on military spending and try to lower that budget. And amalgamating the military was a good idea on how to do that. And basically what it means is that instead of the Army and the Navy and the Air Force competing for resources, they would share the resources. And instead of having three different generals at the top fighting the government for money and projects and whatnot, they would all report to one general, and that one general would report to the government requesting the funds that they needed. So it created some interesting aspects where, for example, a Sea King helicopter in the maritime helicopter role flying off of a destroyer, the aircraft and the aircrew were Air Force and were detached to the ship for its mission. But they were actually Air Force personnel and an Air Force aircraft. And in theory, it actually makes sense because you would have much cheaper flight training. You wouldn't have a naval flight training stream and an Air Force flight training stream. You would have one flight training stream. So everybody joins the military, goes through one flight training stream, and then branches out into whether they're helicopters or transports or fighters or whatever they go into. And it streamlined that ability. It also meant that all the pilots would have trained on effectively the same aircraft. They all have exactly the same training, exactly the same experience, and it makes it a lot easier to move people around within the military. It destroyed a lot of traditions, which is why a lot of people were not happy with it. But luckily recently, in the past couple of years, they started to bring back some of those traditions. The Navy got back their traditional ranking structure. Because when they amalgamated, they all adopted the green uniform and the Army's rank structure. And that lasted through the 1970s, and I believe it was late 70s, early 80s, the forces brought back their colors. The Air Force got the blue and the Navy got the black and white. And then I said recently the Navy got back their historical ranking structure with the swirls and all that stuff. The Air Force got back their original names, so they're not majors or captains or colonels. They're, you know, air vice marshals and flight leaders and all that stuff. They were the original ranks that existed back in like the World War II RAF days, which unfortunately I don't know. I never learned them, so I got to learn them again. But so I'm bringing it up because it was a pretty important point in the history of the RCAF, and it changed the way a lot of the units were managed and what they did. I'm rambling a little bit here, but on that note, we'll move on and we'll continue looking at what happened throughout the 1960s and on to the present day with the Air Force. So moving into the immediate post-unification world, in 1968, February 15th, 434 Squadron was reactivated at CFB Cold Lake as the CF5 Operational Training Unit. On March 11th, 410 Squadron was reactivated, taking over the role of the 3 Operational Training Unit at RCAF Bagotville. On March 23rd, 417 Squadron was reactivated, taking over the role of the 6th Strike/Reconnaissance Operational Training Unit at CFB Cold Lake, flying the CF-104. On March 29th, 450 Squadron was formed at RCAF Station St. Hubert as a helicopter transport squadron, flying the CH-147 Chinook. Now, interestingly, as per Article 15 from World War II, which the RCAF is following for the numbering of these units, Canadian squadrons were only supposed to go up to 449, and 450 Squadron was actually an Australian unit during World War II. Now, luckily, the Royal Australian Air Force did not continue with the Article 15 scheme post-war, and still does not currently have a 450 Squadron in their structure, limiting any possible confusion. So June 29th, 449 Maritime Training Squadron was formed at CFB Greenwood to train crews in the Argus aircraft. Now on July 8th, 413 Squadron was reactivated at CFB Summerside, flying the CH-113 Labrador in the search and rescue role, taking over the role of 103 Rescue Unit, which was stood down. This unit still flies today with the CH-149 Cormorant out of Greenwood. 440 was also reacted at CFB Winnipeg as a communications and rescue squadron with Dakotas and Vertol H-21s. 440 Squadron still operates today from Yellowknife with the Twin Otter in the transport role. Now, 442 Squadron was also reactivated on this date at CFB Comox as a rescue squadron flying the CH-113 Labrador and is still operating there today with the CH-149 Cormorant. Finally, 424 Squadron was reactivated at CFB Trenton as a base search and rescue unit. And finally, on August 15th, 433 Squadron was reactivated at CFB Bagotville, flying the CF-5 in the tactical fighter role. This now brings us to 1970, and on April 1st, 408 Squadron was disbanded at Rivers, Manitoba as a transport support unit, flying a varied fleet of transport aircraft. On May 1st, 430 Squadron disbanded at Gros-de-Quin, France, while equipped with the CF-104. On July 1st, 422 Squadron disbanded at Baden-Solingen, and 427 Squadron disbanded at Zweibrücken, both equipped with the CF-104s. Starting in 1971, on January 1st, 408 Squadron reactivated at Nemeo, Alberta as a tactical helicopter squadron flying the CH-135 and is still flying today at Nemeo with the CH-146 Griffin. 422 Squadron was reactivated at Gagetown, New Brunswick as a tactical helicopter squadron flying both the CH-135 and CH-136, and 427 Squadron was reactivated at Petawawa, also a tactical helicopter squadron flying the CH-135 and CH-146. 427 Squadron is still flying today as a special operations helicopter unit flying the CH-146 Griffin and is still based at Petawawa. 430 Squadron was also reactivated as a tactical helicopter squadron based at Valcartier, Quebec, flying CH-135s and CH-136s, and, as I'm sure you can guess, it is still based at Valcartier flying the CH-146 Griffin today. On May 3rd, 426 Squadron reformed at RCAF Station Uplands as a transport training squadron with the CC-130 Hercules and still fulfills that role today, being based at CFB Trenton. Moving on to 1972, July 12th, 406 Squadron reactivated again as a maritime operational training unit and still operates today with the CH-148 Cyclone based at Shearwater. September 1st, 446 and 447 Squadrons were both disbanded with the retirement of the Bomark missile. October 1st, 444 Squadron was reactivated at Lahr, Germany as a tactical helicopter squadron flying the CH-136 Kiowa. On to 1974, September 3rd, 423 Squadron was reactivated at CFB Shearwater as an anti-submarine helicopter squadron flying the CH-124 Sea King. It is still flying there today with the CH-148 Cyclone. On October 25th, 443 Squadron was reactivated as an anti-submarine helicopter squadron at CFB Shearwater flying the CH-124 Sea King. This unit is also still operational today with the CH-148 Cyclone, but is currently based at Patricia Bay, British Columbia. 1975, May 2nd, 419 Squadron was reactivated at CFB Cold Lake, flying CF-5s as a tactical fighter trainer squadron, taking over these duties from 434 Squadron. On May 20th, 420 Squadron reactivated as a reserve unit flying tracker anti-submarine aircraft. Now this is where you can start to see the naval aircraft being integrated into the Canadian Forces / Canadian Air Forces structure. On September 1st, 449 Squadron disbanded with the planned retirement of the Argus, and 404 Squadron took over responsibility of crew training with the Argus until it was finally retired in 1980. Moving on to 1977, on May 2nd, 424 Squadron, the Gander Detachment, was renamed 103 Rescue Unit and later 103 Search and Rescue Squadron in 1997. And as I mentioned earlier, this is the only active RCAF unit to not have a 400 series number. Now they still operate out of Gander today, flying the CH-149 Cormorant. 1978, on April 1st, 431 Squadron was reactivated as an aerial demonstration team taking over the role of, and here's a mouthful, the 2 Canadian Forces Flying Training School Formation Team. So this team was formed as a Tudor 4-ship in 1970 and slowly grew to a 9-ship by 1971, and they were officially called the Snowbirds in 1975. 431 Squadron is still active today, flying the Tudor as the Snowbirds at events across Canada, the United States, and the world. In 1979, January 1st, 447 Squadron reformed as a helicopter transport unit at CFB Namao, flying the CH-147 Chinook. So this now takes us to the 1980s, and things really start to sort of slow down with opening and closing of squadrons. So I'm just going to kind of blow through the next kind of years without necessarily naming the decades. So starting in 1980, August 16th, 422 Squadron was disbanded at Gagetown, New Brunswick, while flying the CH-135 and CH-136. In 1983, October 15th, 417 Squadron was disbanded with the official retirement of the CF-104. 1985, March 31st, 416 Squadron was disbanded at CFB Chatham while flying the CF-101. 1988, June 1st, 416 Squadron was reactivated at Cold Lake, flying the CF-18. 1991, April 1st, 447 Squadron was deactivated while equipped with the CH-147 Chinook. In 1992, April 1st, 444 Squadron was disbanded at Lahr, Germany, while flying the CH-136. On August 31st, 421 Squadron disbanded at Bad Solingen with the drawdown of the RCAF presence in Europe. It was equipped with CF-18s when the unit shut down. In 1993, April 1st, 417 Squadron reactivated as a combat support squadron, taking over duties from the Cold Lake base flight, flying CT-133s and CH-118s. May 15th, 439 Squadron deactivated at Bad Solingen while operating the CF-18, and reactivated at CFB Bagotville as a combat support unit, flying the CH-146 Griffin, where it still operates today. 1994, June 22nd, 418 Squadron disbanded, having been equipped with Twin Otters at the time. On July 1st, 409 Squadron disbands as the RCAF officially leaves Europe. 409 Squadron was equipped with CF-18s at the time of its disbandment. In 1995, May 15th, 420 Squadron deactivated at CFB Shearwater with the retirement of the Tracker. And on June 24th, 419 Squadron was deactivated at CFB Cold Lake with the retirement of the CF-5. In 1996, June 23rd, 401 Squadron disbands in Montreal while a helicopter training unit. In 1998, January 1st, 411 Squadron disbands at Stownsview while flying CH-136s, and 450 Squadron disbanded at St. Hubert while equipped with the CH-147 Chinook. In the year 2000, on July 28th, 419 Squadron was reactivated at CFB Cold Lake as a tactical fighter trainer squadron, flying the CT-155 Hawk. In 2002, April 28th, 434 Squadron disbanded at CFB Greenwood while equipped with both CC-144 Challengers and CT-133 Silver Stars. And on July 31st, 414 Squadron was officially disbanded. 2005, July 14th, 433 Squadron is disbanded at Bagotville while equipped with CF-18s, and the personnel were absorbed into 425 Squadron. On July 29th, 415 Squadron disbanded, and the personnel merged with 405 Squadron. In 2006, 409 Squadron was reactivated with the consolidation of 416 and 44 Squadron, both of which were disbanded. In 2009, on January 20th, 414 Squadron was reactivated in Ottawa as an electronic warfare support unit. All aircrew in this squadron ride in the back seat of privately owned Top Aces Alpha jets. 2012, May 12th, 450 Squadron is reactivated as a helicopter transport unit flying the new CH-147F Chinook based out of Petawawa. Even though this squadron number conflicts with the Royal Australian Air Force World War II unit, as I mentioned before, it was decided to reuse this number due to its previous use as a CH-147 Chinook unit. 450 is still active today, based in Petawawa. In 2015, June 5th, 415 Squadron was reactivated after merging Maritime Proving and Evaluation Unit and the 14th Software Engineering Unit. 415 Squadron now supports the further development and training on the CP-140. June 9th, 433 Squadron was reactivated at CFB Bagotville, flying the CF-18 and is still active there today. And on June 30th, 401 Squadron was reactivated as a CF-18 unit based at Cold Lake, Alberta. 2018, May 31st, 434 Squadron reformed at CFB Trenton as a test and evaluation squadron, taking over the role of testing all equipment for the Air Force, and is still operational there today. So finally, in 2019, on March 13th, 418 Squadron was reactivated as a search and rescue operational training unit, training aircrew and maintenance personnel on the brand new CC-295 Kingfisher search and rescue aircraft, and is based at Comox, British Columbia. So this now brings us up to the current format as the RCAF as it is today. Current strength is roughly 16,000 personnel with 391 aircraft based across 37 active squadrons. Now, as I said earlier, I will be doing individual videos for each 400 series squadron where I go through some detailed history and notable events for each unit. This will most likely take a while, so please bear with me if you do want to see a specific squadron. I will be going through chronologically and in order of squadron, so it might take a while to get to the one that you want to see. And I will also be doing a few on some of those other units. As I said, some of the World War II units that were not 400 series, as well as the 103 Search and Rescue unit, and a few of those other ones. So again, if there's any unit you do want to see, please bear with me. They will be released over the next number of months as I go through them. But on that note, thank you all for watching this to the very end. I do appreciate it, and we will see you all next time.
Thank you for watching, guys, and as always, if you are interested in any of the content you see, you can access my website at www.seans-aviation.com. You can see all the latest pictures of aircraft and museums and the build logs of all of my current models and past models on that site. And if you're interested in any of this content, please click the subscribe button here on YouTube to follow more. Thank you very much, and see you guys next time.